like where do you find yourself in like 5 years with your creative process? Like, do you think that's something that's a part of your life and will just never go away, like regardless of responsibilities or circumstances?
Yeah, definitely, man. Like even when I was like in high school, I went through like a tough time, and I used journaling as my way of like, you know, keeping myself productive, keeping myself like managing myself basically. No, that was writing, that was like kind of creative. um, that was like me writing to myself and expressing to myself, expressing however I was feeling. Like you can argue that's a form of creativity. And even with like going out taking photos, just like with no like I guess purpose, like you just go out
Exactly.
take photos, like you know what I mean? That's like a form of self care, but it's like
It is.
it's also
You get put
a way
into
to
like a
express
flow
yourself.
state. You know what? Like, I feel flow sometimes when I'm writing. It's like, whoa, okay, that's great. And there are a lot of case studies of like how to get into flow or how to achieve it. Welcome to the Way We Capture podcast. I'm your host, Zachariah Rock. Today we have Henry Lai on. He is a copywriter, photographer, avid reader, and a good friend of mine. So we'll get right into it with a couple questions, and then we'll have Henry tell us a story. So Henry, how you doing right now?
Right now I'm doing good, man.
Doing good.
Just
Hell yeah.
chilling.
Just chilling. Long day. I'm sure it's later in the evening. What time is it there for you?
It's 7:36, so today is like, not too busy. Saw an old friend who, went to the same school as me. Haven't seen him in like 3 years, so it was good to see him.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah,
I know that feeling. It's always great to see somebody you haven't seen in a while. So do tell us a little bit about what you've been up to recently with your writing and you know and your photography even.
yeah. So like mainly what I do right now is writing. I freelance and I create content for myself on Twitter. Yeah, those are the two main things I do. Photography, I want to get back into it, man. Like it's been a while since I shot, basically. Uh, this summer I plan on shooting more, or even like getting into video.
Video. I was not aware of that. Oh,
Mhm.
I think in the past it has been for me at least. The video was always something that I struggled with because in photography you can like manipulate things, right? If you don't get the proper shot, you can manipulate it, but video is like a sign of perfection. I feel like people who are good at video are, they live very meticulous lives.
Okay.
um,
Well, talking about video, like I'm seeing your screen right now. It's like your voice is not matched with your mouth.
is it not? Oh no, that's not good. Ooh, let's
It's
see.
like slightly delayed.
Slightly delayed. There
I just
might.
hope I just hope it's okay.
Let's hello, hello. It's a little bit of it might just be on your side, but hopefully it's not too
Mhm.
bad.
Okay, okay.
I'm like
No, if
defeated.
it's good, then it's
Is it
fine.
okay? Cool. As long as yeah. How about you talk now? Let's see. Let's see if you can if we I can pick up on that. I think it's good on your
Hello.
side, but
Yeah.
swapping platforms is it's never fun on my end. I'm just gonna go code some sort of application for video calls that doesn't require all these hoops to jump through. But so
Anyway.
we got you in copywriting, right? We're gonna start you off asking that question. So you copyright on Twitter. It's like one of your main offers. You do writing for a lot of people behind the scenes. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got into that?
Yeah, so just like a lot of people on Twitter, I I started off on Twitter as a photography account, as you know, back in 2021. And in 2022, I found out this whole like new world of like money Twitter, well, like Danco, all these people. And I just went like almost a whole like half a year, almost a whole year of just consuming content, figuring out what is it I want to do. Like, do I want to start an agency, like a business? Like, do I just want to be a content creator? Like, yeah, what is it I want to do? Do I still want to be creating photos? And at this point, I realize I love writing. And if I can do it for myself and for other people, then I should just do that because I think there's power in like focusing on one thing. And at this stage in my life, I think it's really good for me to have that focus, which is writing.
That's awesome. I relate very much. You know, the writing is it's changed my life. And it sounds really cliche to say something like that, but it's true. There's a lot of power in, you know, organizing your thoughts. Writing for someone else though, that's a big step. I feel like you have to be pretty confident in order to do something like that. Um, so you've been writing pretty habitually for a few years now, I'm assuming, like since, you know, high school.
Um, funny thing is like I remember as a kid, like teachers would always tell me like, "Yo, your writing is pretty good." And I think it's because I love that um this format of just expressing yourself. I hated the whole academic writing part. So whenever I got to write, it's like I'm just gonna write whatever the fuck I want, right? I'm just gonna write, express myself. So I think that's what I love about writing, expressing. But what was your question?
It was is when did you get your start? Like where do you get your roots with it all? Like what
Yeah.
was like the
So
main
yeah,
thought of like, damn, I'm gonna write. This is my thing. I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna write, you know? It's a little over the top, but
yeah. I think yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, I don't remember like me waking up one day and just thinking to myself, "Oh yeah, writing is the one." It just kind of fell into place for me because I'm someone who I don't like to box myself in, um, and writing is something pretty much everyone does, right? And I don't now I call myself a writer, but a couple of years ago, or even a year ago, or a few months ago, I don't, yeah, I say I write, but like now I'm like, yeah, I'm a writer.
the
Um,
identity thing, yeah. That's so for the longest time
yeah,
calling myself like a photographer, like whenever somebody would walk up to you and be like, "Hey, like what do you do?" or you're meeting someone new. The identity with like doing like saying you are what you do, you know, instead of like you know, I work a day job as well. I think most people do. They work or they're a student, and so they're identifying with that, but they're not identifying with like their dreams or like their dream role. And I feel like there's a lot of power when you do go and tell people like, yeah, I am a writer. It's what I do. You know, or it's like, all right, yeah, I'm a photographer.
mhm.
It's like, and so it's all about confidence and how you approach the world. You know, like you're living on that edge because yeah, like you may suck ass at writing or you may be terrible at taking photos. But like the more you align with that identity, I feel like the more you like believe in yourself, which is the most important thing in the world.
Yeah, and like with believing in yourself, I think I brought up my childhood experience. I think sometimes it's about looking for clues and proof for yourself. It's like, yeah, I have all these experiences writing in school, writing for myself, and that's like proof for myself that I can write. I'm pretty good at it. And that's what like in a way like it keeps you going, right? It's like it resonates with you more.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Twitter has been a place where I feel like Twitter forces you to be a good writer, and I hear a lot of people say this. But once again, you know, like your writing is phenomenal. I've definitely found myself like remembering your one of your tweets throughout the day and being like, like the way you delivered that is fucking incredible. Like, you know, I need more of that oomph in my life. When I was in high school, I was not ever deemed like a good writer by any means. I was like average, sure, maybe like below average even. For the longest time, I struggled back and forth with getting getting something that I was actually passionate about, right? And so it all kind of changed when I was like 16, doing photography, and I was just like, well, I'm going to that class. Like there was no like feeling of restraint, you know. When I would go to English class, like I never took the writing. I understand like the power of it now, but I think a lot of people in high school, kind of when they're in their like late teenage years, they start to realize like what they don't like and what they truly do want to do with the rest of
Mm-hmm.
their time. Um, and I feel like we grow as people, but the biggest thing for me was just having that aha moment of like, oh, I made that, you know, and like the creativity just like seeped out of me, and you know, it doesn't feel good because of like external circumstances with people. Like nobody's praising me. I like it. You know, it's like, damn, that was like a big
Mm-hmm.
moment for me. And I've had that recently with
Yeah.
writing too. And I know a lot of writers do. They have like, oh, like I wrote that, like, and it's about the process. We've discussed this before with creativity. It's about the process completely. But I kind
Mm-hmm.
of wanted to move along into more of our questions about kind of like let's say Twitter. This is going to be broad. Twitter, writing, and how you kind of you're like a jack of all trades if you really want to put yourself in that box. Which I think with the artificial intelligence revolution, being a jack of all trades it's going to benefit a lot of people rather than just being boxed in. So, what are some tips that you have for people who are looking to become like a content creator or make money online in some way using those, traditional mediums that we just talked about?
I would say, first of all, you have to publish. You just gotta start somewhere. You know, you're not gonna go from 0 to 100 just like just like that. You can't just expect that, you know. Everyone starts somewhere. Even the best creators, you know, they go through a time where they're just publishing their work and maybe they're not getting views, you know, like, and maybe that's what you gotta go through. And that's how you build the mental strength to keep going. You know, that's what I think.
Like a internal battle. Um,
Mm.
within like, I'm trying to remember. There was a lot of things when we first started talking. I was like, I looked at you, like through DMs. I looked at you and I was like, Henry, like, even though I'm not gonna buy from you, like I will one day, but it's just like not a place for me to create short form content and whatnot. Like there's a confidence thing, and I feel like a lot of it is the mental
Mm.
restrictions. We've talked about this before with it's always like yourself, and I want you to elaborate on that because you've probably had some limiting. I heard you use the term limiting beliefs before. What were your
Mm.
limiting beliefs in becoming like a writer or even just like getting out of your comfort zone?
I think for a lot of people and for myself before, it's just simply doing it. It's like you in your head, you're like, yeah, I want to do that. But then when you're like actually doing it, you're like, fuck, can I actually do this? Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
I
it's
relate.
like, it's when you first start something, it's like, of course it feels foreign because it's different because you never tried it. So I would say like just allow that that almost like childlike curiosity to take over and just have fun. Just have fun with it. Just create.
You and I have a lot of similar hobbies. There's not a lot of people in this world who are like, oh yeah, photography, writing, reading, you know, fish, like all sorts of stuff, man.
Fish.
So it's awesome to see like the full circle moment of finding friends
Mhm.
online and people who have similar mindsets, even though like we may be like 2,000 miles away. And you're in London, right? That's where
Mm.
you're at. So I was originally born
Yeah, right now.
in Liverpool. That was kind of like where I was, where my family's from and whatnot. So it's
Yeah,
the north versus
Liverpool.
the south, But yeah, you're a big Liverpool Football Club fan, aren't you? Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome,
I
dude.
mean, my dad support them. That's why I support them.
Oh yeah, I
Been
feel that.
following them all my life.
Yeah, dude, that's dude, seriously meant to be best friends.
I mean, not doing so, not
Yeah, not doing so well
literally.
now, but the past few years it's been good.
Mhm.
But yeah, I had a so you were born in Hong Kong, right?
Mhm.
So
Yes.
there like your English is really good for being like. So when did you first learn English? Because Cantonese was your first language, correct?
Correct. Cantonese is my first language. And you know, in Hong Kong they teach English, but I wouldn't say like that's how I got good. Honestly, like I started playing FIFA, so I started like following the YouTubers like KSI, the whole like Sidemen.
Oh yeah,
So I was fucking obsessed with these people. And dude, that's how my English got good, you know, like
just listening to.
playing FIFA, playing FIFA and watching YouTube. Um, but then yeah, that was like a year or two before I moved to England when I was 14. So yeah.
That's awesome. I so I visited England. I never lived there. I moved over here when I was a kid to the U.S. and uh, the U.S. is an interesting place. I mean, a lot of it's it's almost like the epicenter of criticism for the world. Everybody wants to crap on it, but um, it was a big change for like I don't think I would be this person that I am today if I didn't move here. So like living in the UK, like it was just always like it was an option for me as a kid. Um, like I have tons of family there, and so I went back and visited, and it was crazy because I was like, whoa, well, like these are supposed to be my people. Like it's like you going back home to Hong Kong. Like this is your culture. These are your people, and I felt kind of alienated because to my American friends, I was always like the British kid. Like uh,
Mm,
that was me. Like that was never like American, right? I'm only a U.S.
yeah.
resident, not a U.S. citizen. So with my residency over here, when I got that, I felt it was like crazy. I was like, oh well, I've been an American my whole life. I grew up over here. Like, look at how I sound. I don't sound British. So that was big. But uh, what led you to come over here to or come over there to England to down in London?
Well, the thing with Hong Kong kids, like, is like a lot of Hong Kong people study abroad. And at the time, like I was in secondary school, I wasn't happy um, for like, different reasons, I guess. Like academically, I wasn't doing so good. Socially, I wasn't doing so good. Had like one really good friend who is actually in Denver now. Um, so, like my parents were like, hey, why don't you study abroad? And I'm so like lucky to have this opportunity, like, um, so yeah, I think like in the end, like honest, I think my dad was like Australia or UK. And then I was like, yo, I love football. I'm gonna choose UK.
Is the UK
Like I
every
was
time,
fucking
man?
13 or 14, man.
Oh yeah, you're like it's a no
No, but
brainer,
I don't
dad.
regret this. No, I think about it now, like I think fuck I chose the UK. I think Australia is just is just
Different
like
culture.
to me is like too
Yeah.
isolated as a country.
So you've had a lot of enriched experiences. And what are you? You're like 22, 21.
I'm 21 right
You're
now.
21. So you've had a lot of experiences for someone your age, at least like by American standards. You lived over in Illinois. Was that right? You lived
I lived in,
Indiana.
so I graduated high school, yeah, Indiana. Yeah, story was I graduated high school 2020, COVID hit, everything was like messed up, right? So then like there was a point in time where I had to rethink, like because I don't have to stay in the UK. I can go to Australia, I can stay in Hong Kong. And then at the time I still had the mindset of, go to college, really get a good degree, right? Get a good job. And then at the time I was really intrigued by UX design, UX user experience
Yeah.
design. So I was like, hmm, tech, where should I go? I should go to America, you know? So that was like my thought process for going to America in the first place. And, I found, uh, I was at a pretty like good engineering STEM school. Um, and then after just one semester, I was like, well, I made a mistake coming here because I'm not really a city person, but like I cannot. live in a campus with
I'm
like
I'm
nothing
I'm with you,
outside.
dude. I'm with you. That's like my nightmare. So,
So then after so then after like one semester, I moved to Boston for
oh, okay,
community college.
awesome.
Yeah.
Boston's a great city. I've heard a lot of positive things. I've never been there myself, but they have a culture over there. So,
Yeah,
now
it's
you're
pretty cool
back in
place.
London. You're heading back to Hong Kong. Are you?
Hmm.
Is Hong Kong going to be like more permanent, or are you going to be kind of still traveling all over the place?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I haven't found my, I guess, home to settle in. I guess like Hong Kong is always an option. And I mean, like for work and stuff, it's okay. But if I have to think about in 10 years' time, maybe I'll start thinking about having a family and stuff, right? And it's like for that kind of stuff, maybe not Hong Kong. But as things stand, like right now, I'm leaning more towards Asia.
Yeah. China or other parts of Asia.
Yeah, other parts of Asia. I've been thinking about Bali.
Bali.
Um,
Dude, that is
yeah.
everybody loves Bali, man. What do they say? If you're a content creator, it's Bali. If you're like a rich businessman who owns a SaaS company, it's Dubai. So those are the places that a lot of people have been, or are are there. But that's interesting. I always think about it a lot. My grandfather, he was born in Myanmar, previously Burma, and so there's a lot of like history there with him, and he's always wanted me to go visit. Go visit, there, China, Japan, all sorts of places. So I just find it's really interesting when I'm able to kind of see like other perspectives of the world. Over here in the U.S., everybody's really closed minded. Everybody's really like it's a
Mm.
individualistic society more than you know using like caring about thy neighbor. So everybody's here. People say come to the U.S. if you want to make money, if you want to live like a quality life. Like maybe don't live there. But there's a lot, dude. So I get you there. I haven't found my forever home where I'd want to move, like raise a family, but I also haven't experienced much in life to where I would be capable of moving somewhere else. It's
Where would you
like,
want to go?
that's a good question. So like definitely not a city. I'm more like I was raised in a small town. I'm definitely a small town kid. I don't think much outside of like like bigger than what I live in, but smaller than like the state capital. So being in Utah, Utah is super close minded. Like it's a very business oriented state where we have something similar to like Silicon Valley. It's called the Silicon Slopes, and tech jobs are all over the place. I would definitely want to live more on like countryside because it's better for photography, landscape, like that kind of thing. I feel like I can actually breathe out there.
Alaska?
Alaska, yeah, dude, Alaska is incredible. You know, but no, that's definitely a question you have to think about. It's one of the most important decisions you can make. It's like um, where you live, who you marry, or who's your spouse, and what you do for a living. Those are like three of the biggest questions you can ask
Yeah.
yourself. But
And
I
I
find,
think I think Naval talks about that, right?
yeah, he does actually. He does pretty frequently. Um, yeah, Naval definitely changed a lot of my thinking structures in a positive way. I mean, the biggest thing was don't play status games with people who just play status games.
Yeah.
Like don't play status games. Play wealth building games and stuff like that. And you really start to see that in people and how like they're hardwired. Um, so it's always one of those things like you can with people's writing, right? Because you know your thoughts are everything with writing. It's just putting them on paper. And so with a lot of people online, I find that social media has amplified a lot of voices that are negative. Everyone's aware of that, and so I find that
Mm.
like
Yeah.
comment sections are usually like some of the most toxic places online, like Instagram, Facebook, other places there, other social media platforms like YouTube. But like with Twitter, dude, like I was drawn to Twitter because I like especially money Twitter, and like there's a side of productivity and creativity where like there is no room for negativity with those two things. And so you can truly start to see the balance in people's minds of like they have this harmony, right? Productivity and creativity are something that
Mm.
everybody should pursue, and it can lead to more of a fulfilling life. But there are people who don't ever like think about that, and they just want to tear down people who are, pursuing a better life or trying to, cultivate the world to be a better place, one step at a time, one brick at a time. But there's some questions, I would love to ask you. Like, I'm just going rambling on, but um I know with your writing, and I've praised it before, I'll praise it again. It is like it's just you deserve more. You deserve more of a uh like a book. Like put a book out. I'll be the first guy on the wait list. I'll buy the book. I'll buy a couple books, give them to my little brother and stuff. But like, what is your method to overcome creative blocks and just maintain more of a consistent flow of ideas? Because it seems like your ideas are just like firing off, and the consistency on social media, especially Twitter, it's like you got to force yourself to do it. But sometimes like that forcing of you just create garbage. But how do you do it, Henry? Like, let me know.
Okay, I'll start by saying I think for as long as I can remember, like, if I look back at when I was like grade three, I was that kid who people thought I was weird. I like I had like people thought I was like that. Like I was basically that like ADHD kid. I was like always in my head. I was like a quiet kid who is like whose mind is just constantly going, 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 going. Like I was that kid. But I always wanted to be creative. I always wanted to I always thought there's a way to live life than the conventional way. And I think with creativity, you gotta have an anchor for yourself. That's yeah, to start with. And whatever that means for you, for some people it's going out fishing. For some people it's like going out taking photos.
Oh
For
yeah.
some people it's journaling. For me, I like to meditate. Um, sports. Yeah, you gotta have something that's like besides your like whatever you create or do, you know? Because that's how you shut your brain off. You gotta sometimes like for more, you gotta shut it down first. You gotta like do something else.
It's like
Because if you
counterintuitive.
constantly laser focus,
Yeah.
mhm,
It's very counterintuitive
yeah,
to like what's being pushed by hustle culture and stuff, or go, 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 go. And I love that. But
mm,
so you meditate, sports, football. That's a big passion of yours. Um, do you ever consider that maybe like the act of creation is almost like is that in a way though too? Like, do you think about that? Like where like some days I get home and there's like nothing I want to do, or if there's like emotional grievances and pain, um, I find that like the quality of what I do, it's almost like it's more authentic if there's like something I'm dealing with, because then it's being used as an outlet rather than like an input for a different intention, if that makes sense. When I'm like all over the place right now, but you get what I'm trying to say?
I get you, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like I've heard a lot of like stories or I've seen like YouTube videos about like how like creative people or like artists, they oftentimes like struggle mentally,
Yes.
basically. And it's like, yeah, it's like maybe in this world we live in, that's just how it is. Maybe, I don't know. But like, I mean, that's interesting to me.
A
I
lot of it
think
I find is
using,
a lot of it I
mm,
find is where as a artist or creative, you're constantly seeking the truth in your own life. I mean, I know I do it, and I've talked to a lot of other artists who they love truth. They are seeking like self awareness, like the true reality. And like when you're creating art, you can't really lie to yourself about what you're feeling. You go like write something out. It's like, yeah, that's raw. That's it. There's nothing much beyond that. But like like where do you find yourself in like 5 years with your creative process? Like, do you think that's something that's a part of your life and will just never go away, like regardless of responsibilities or circumstances?
Yeah, definitely, man. Like even when I was like in high school, I went through like a tough time, and I used journaling as my way of like, you know, keeping myself productive, keeping myself like managing myself basically. No, that was writing, that was like kind of creative. um, that was like me writing to myself and expressing to myself, expressing however I was feeling. Like you can argue that was a form of creativity. And even with like going out taking photos, just like with no like like I guess purpose, like you just go
Exactly.
out, take photos, like you know what I mean? That's like a form of self-care, but it's like
It is.
it's also
You get put
a way
into
of
like a
express
flow
yourself.
state. You know what? Like, I feel flow sometimes when I'm writing. It's like, whoa, okay, that's great. And there are a lot of case studies of like how to get into flow or how to achieve it. Um, but with taking like the whole photography thing, like I understand that on like a fundamental level. Like I'm gonna go out and just shoot photos to shoot what kind of story I'm gonna tell. But it's almost like you get like a plus 15 like creativity bonus when you have like some emotional connection as well. So like there's
Mm,
different intentions for it, you know? Like there's the self-care side of it, and then there's the habitual routine of like creation. Um there's a
mm.
book I need to read, and it's that book by Rick Rubin. I'm trying to think. It doesn't even matter. I don't even know the title, but I bought it and it's sitting on my desk. It's like I need to go through that and just read it because I hear a lot of people saying like, "Hey, like Rick Rubin, he had a podcast with Andrew Huberman, where they talked about creativity, and I listened to like half of that, and then I was just like, okay, like I just gotta stop. Like at some point, other people's signals and ideas kind of interfere with the creation of your own, and so like there's like a happy balance of like consumption, but I
Mm,
know that you've been on a journey like most of us, a creative journey at
mhm,
that,
yeah,
transitioning from photographer to writer, and then still kind of doing all of it, like everything, while being like a full-time student, right? And so in
yeah.
your day-to-day life, like are people aware, like family members, friends, like are people aware of like what you do on Twitter and like where your writing's at? Like do you get any people coming up to you? They're like, hey, like I love what you wrote, like in real life, like in that day to day.
I think, well, my mom knows I write, and she tells me that, sometimes like because like, I study abroad and it's like I don't always talk to her. So that she like, she sees my tweets and she says she's happy about that, like, and that's great. I'm pretty like open about what I do. Like I don't like walk around telling people like, hey, I'm on Twitter, but like, some people know I do it.
Yeah.
Um, I would say it's something like very uh niche still, right? Like the
Oh yeah, absolutely.
the like normal person is not like creating on Twitter. Like, I don't know a lot of people who do this.
They just shit post, or they just like cause drama,
Yeah.
like that. They're not like using it as a productivity app or something like that, Um,
Mm.
and that I think a lot of that goes back to like the identity thing, where you're like when you are aligned with a true goal, like your mission, and then your values are like derived from it, and so everything just gets filtered through there, with photography, like the moment I started identifying as a photographer, I felt like a lot of things just changed, and maybe not in like the positive way, but you almost have to like identify with it. But like Naval states that you shouldn't like really identify with anything, like that's gonna
Yeah.
disrupt your peace of mind, which happiness,
Mm.
wealth, and health, those are all like those are the biggest markets,
Yeah.
like
And yeah, it's like interesting. I've been, well, I realized this as like a uni student, like I have the option to study photography too. I had the option, but why didn't I go for it? It's a like it's this like if something is telling me don't do it because it's like it's something you love.
Yeah. No,
It's weird. Like
I understand that. Truly. I like to my core, Henry. I understand that. But like I had to learn that lesson, you know? And so transitioning more into like AI art, like I feel like I've
mm,
been loving it, dude. It's like combining two of my passions, which is technology and art, and it's like, whoa, people aren't saying like the upside of it, you know? It's just people like to focus with a
mm.
negativity bias on all the horrible shit in the world, you know? It's if it bleeds, it leads, you know? And so I think a lot of people want that drama or the negativity, but when you love something, like there's two schools of thought, and I struggle with like even realizing which one is I believe in. It's like if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Or if you
Mm.
love something, don't fucking, you know, make it a business. Don't, you know, like, turn it into a job because it'll suck the passion out of it. And so I teeter, I flip flop back and forth. But where do you stand on that?
Which part?
Like, do you think you should like you definitely pursue more of like you're not going to do something you love because it's going to suck the life out of it, or you're not going to have like the same passion for it because now it's work and not play.
I think if you create with a scarcity mindset, that's not the life you want to live, you
Ooh,
know?
deep. Holy shit. I like that a lot, man. Creating with a scarcity mindset. Dude, that's a tweet right there.
Yeah, I want to create with like, you know, that like abundance mindset, you know? I don't want to, you know, I wouldn't want to put out anything if I'm in that scarcity mindset. That's the way I
I
look
think
at
you
it.
just taught me something
And how do I
important.
get around that? Well, I'm glad.
No, like seriously, because I'm like, hold on, wait. There's different, like not everybody sees eye to eye on things, especially when it comes to like work and passion. Like I like helping people, especially with figuring out what they want to do with the rest of their life, because that was something that was disastrous for me. You know, I was 19,
Mm,
didn't know what the hell I wanted to do with the rest of my life. Like I had hobbies, interests, but like I had limiting beliefs of like, can I actually, you know, do this? What skills do I have? Or I have no skills, or I just felt left behind in the grand scheme of things, just because of the circumstances. I was in a bad place, but um, starting to take like accountability for my beliefs, because you know your beliefs drive your behavior. There was so much of like the things I could have been doing, but I just didn't because I had like a victim mindset, or I just figured I couldn't grow. And then getting past that, that was just massive. And I feel like a lot of creators go through like seasons, as Dan Coe calls it, like seasons of intensity, where like for 3 months you're just go go
mm,
go go go, like ideas are popping in. You're kind of on ball with a lot of like what you should be doing. You know, you're achieving your goals, like you're a superhuman. And then there's other seasons where it's just not
mm,
there, you know, like you're slacking on like working out, or you're slacking on, you know, eating well. It's just like you're thinking about like the next step. um I like I said, there's a lot of complexity in the creation process, you know. And it's like I think ADHD plays a huge role too. Like you had stated, you have like somewhat of an ADHD
mm.
brain. Absolutely, dude. We kind of just chase the dopamine, and when it's not there, it's like maybe we do something else.
Yeah, it's like sticking to one thing is hard. It's still, but it's like I've given up. I'm not sticking to one thing, you know? Like,
I feel that, man. Like it's like I still have the love for it, right? Like with photography, like it's like, dude, I can go out and shoot photos, and that's like serene. That's peace for me. And I think like most men, like I don't know about, I'm not a woman, but I know like a lot of dudes and how they think. Most men are very like happiness doesn't really matter, but there's happiness that stems from like peace, right? Like peace of mind. And then when you're actively building something, you know, like where you're like
mm,
creating art, you know, like that's actively building something, or like a business, or you know, friendships, relationships, fostering like children, like you know, whatever it is. There's so much to be said about the whole process of creation, but we live in a society that is more destructive than it is like you know, creative, or like we build less than we destroy. And so that's why I think creators are valued.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're at a time where change is just happening so fast. And as a creator, I think there hasn't been a better time to be a creative. Like, what do you think?
I think 100%. There are like with AI, there's a lot of people terrified that like AI is already changing everything. We know that. But there's a lot of people that are like,
Mm,
AI is going to take my job. Well, like if you believe AI is going to take your job, it probably is, because you probably don't believe that your job is like worthwhile, and um, different like right now, like the global economy is kind of like in a really weird place. The U.S. economy is not in a great place either, but it's crazy because it's like on a downtrend, especially like with the U.S. dollar global. Just like being the global reserve currency, like there's a lot of competition right now. Like our inflation is reaching other global economy or other economies. Like so. I think it's crazy because like we're experiencing downside of like our economic state, but upside with our innovation. Like that's a good way of putting it. And it's like eventually like the developments this past week with Auto GPT. I don't know if you've looked into that at all. Have you seen stuff? So
read something about it.
it scares me, man. It's you're like deploying agents, like the AI is interacting with other AI, and then just doing tasks by themselves. Market research, writing newsletters, creating video games. Like I watched the other day, an AI developer use an AI assistant, and it created a fully fledged video game. And you're just watching the script, just getting
Mm.
completely, played out. And like where do we stand as humans? It's like, where do we stand like creatives? Okay, so I'm going to use AI to my benefit when people who like don't have like the creativity that resides inside of them, they're more like they're more inclined to destroy. And I think that's why a lot of like with AI alignment and AI safety, it's such a huge like huge concern, because like humans, if we're the ones using this technology, curating it, innovating on top of it, we're just gonna like fuck things up. Like I get it. I like to hope for the best. Like
Yeah.
I'm an optimist.
I think like just as you like were saying all that, something came to my mind. And it's like I think in this day and age is like it's hard to stay present, you know? I think it's such a because you're constantly thinking about like, oh, in the future, or like AI is gonna take my job. Is always like very there's this fear. Is like, oh, what am I doing now is not gonna work out. There's so
The
much
fear spreads.
fear going on,
It spreads, dude.
you know? Yeah. And like if right this moment, if I can just like be in flow and be creating, isn't that like all that matters?
Yeah, truly, it does. There's a you're a wise man, Henry. You're wise,
No,
dude.
like I don't know. Like I just think like I don't know what's gonna happen in like fucking I don't know what ChatGPT is gonna do in like 5 years, stuff like that. Like I just wanna focus on like my day to day, like right now, creating, doing what I love. And it's like I know it's so hard, like because like media, stuff like that, like it makes it so hard.
Media is our form of leverage as creators. It's like I'm not a coder. It's like, but I do put media out there. You put media as well, so it's always like a concern. But I don't know. You're like yeah, worry less. Just create more. It's another tweet. You know. Um, but so there is like where you're at in your life right now. You're still like figuring it out, I'm assuming, right? Like I mean, like obviously most people are, but like with your offers changing, or like what business you want to pursue, what is like your main goal that you're trying to like accomplish?
Um, Main goal, I think on a like very general, it's just like I want to build a life where I have the location and time freedom. But like that's like very like seems very kind of selfish, right? But like I think it's like whatever like grand vision I have like realistically, I have to take care of myself first. Um, so I want to build my audience. I want to get my offer to um, in front of people and genuinely come from like a place of service, just help people with whatever I know. And it's a fast changing world we live in, and offers can change. I just want to, but I just know like it's gonna be internet, um, online business as I'll still write and create. You know,
Well, in like 5 years time, I guarantee we'll still both be doing the same thing. You know,
hell yeah, dude.
helping each other out. You know, that's my thing, man. I love making connections and relationships with people who are like minded. And there's a lot of nuance in that. Like don't take that with a grain of salt. Like minded means just about anything you want to put it under. Um, but yeah, like reading, writing, photography, like it's definitely like they're good. It's good things. We have been talking for a while. You know, um, there
Yeah.
is one question. What is the one book or piece of literature that you've read that changed a lot of your worldwide view?
Well, the first thing that came to mind is the one you're reading, right? The
Oh, yeah.
Almanac of Wow.
Yeah.
I read that first semester when I was in Indiana, and I was like just mind blown. Like so much knowledge, so much wisdom in that book. Um, I think the fact that Naval like kind of had like a humble beginning, right? That's like I think that's really cool to see how his worldview really like changed me a lot.
Yeah. That's I'm like probably halfway through it. The value is crazy. It's immense. For me, it would probably be The Power of Now. And I get stuck in that. I have to read it every once in a while, but just dissolving the concept of ego around people, right? And so I think Naval kind of like he's definitely read that book because the guy doesn't have an ego. He'll answer anyone's question. Uh, he'll invest in like anything. Like he invests in tons of stuff. So seeing like I had a very similar upbringing like to him. Like was wasn't a wealthy family I was raised in. Like I think most people can relate to that side of things, but the the present. You seem big on the present, as we just barely discussed.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's a. Do you have like a favorite author outside of I wouldn't really say Naval is an author, but like, is there any book that comes to mind where you're like, yeah, I really like a lot of this guy's ideas. I want to like take some sort of intelligent imitation and build upon it.
Mm. I'm trying to think. Um, um, I should just go to my my book thing
That's
to
yeah,
look
do that.
right now. Um, so there's Christo, but he's not really an author.
Oh, the
Um,
future.
yeah, the future.
Oh,
When I was like, yeah, he's the first person who was like design, business, creative business entrepreneur.
with
Like
like the
he's the first
UI
person
design
that
and stuff,
I
UI
found.
UX. Is that around the time you got into Christo?
No, before like
Oh, before
just
that
like
even.
design in general. Yeah,
Oh, damn.
before that. But yeah, offer.
Yeah,
Like I'm
I've
trying to think of
learned a
authors that.
lot from his channel. He's got a really novel perspective on a lot of things, and I I love it. Um, but yeah, that's awesome. I definitely
An author,
you go.
yeah. I think Scott Galloway is
Okay,
quite a good writer. I think what's his book? I forgot the name, but like it's I think he's like a business professor at a uni, but like he was also a cartoon artist. I just see him as someone who has kind of done it all. Like it's he works so hard, like he hustles, like and he's done it in the business world and the artist like world as well, which I find really interesting.
there is a lot of links between those two worlds. I mean, I find that I think you and I are both in the same of sitting, but like directly in the middle. Like, which one do I want to go into, or like, how do I feel today? Like, some days I want to be more productive than creative. Some days, like, I have to sit around and just like not let anything occur until I get like a little spark of like, okay, let's go, or I'll go for a walk or go for a drive or something, and all of a sudden I'll have like a brilliant idea. But oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
You
the
definitely
book I read
have.
from him, yeah, the book I read from him was How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big.
Oh yeah, that's a concept I love.
Pretty good book.
Speaking of mental models, what is a mental model that you really love or have recently kind of just like absorbed into your everyday life?
So yeah, another idea from a book that's it's a Stephen Bartlett's book,
Okay.
and he talked about I think he met Obama, and it's like I think this is good for people who are slow, basically, which is also me. Like, I can be quite a slow decision maker, um, and it's like always think 50-50. Is it right now? Like you got a decision. Do you think it's 50? If it's just 51% right, go with it. Um, yeah, it's like all the information you have now, just that's all you got. So even if it's just 51%, right, you gotta make that decision. Because think about like other people with a lot of things, like Obama, like he had like so much things to deal with. How can he like spend? He can't spend more than like 10 minutes on like what to eat. Like you gotta, yeah. So that's been a mental model I've been
50-50.
that's been in my head lately.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that a lot. I've been
Another one um, that I've been thinking about is the idea of a infinite game. This is more like business, but it's all also like just life in general. Like the player, this like goes into like kind of like game theory and stuff.
yeah.
Um, the player who plays the infinite game plays to keep playing. The player who plays the finite game, like plays to win. And when they don't get what they want, they get frustrated. Whereas the player who's playing the infinite game doesn't get frustrated because he's just playing to keep playing.
I like that a lot. I've heard that before, but there's so many mental models out there that eventually just get lost in the majority of your brain. With with mental models, recently the one I've learned was I try doing more mental models for decision making rather than any other topic. My decision making skills have suffered in the past, but you learn from
Mm.
failing. You learn from the negativity. But right now, for the longest time, I was like a people pleaser. Right, I would always be offering up my help to people. Doing free photo shoots, doing stuff like I probably shouldn't be doing. It's like not really of value to me, but I would like struggle to like really say no to people. Like it's like well, like sure, like I spread myself too thin a lot of times, and I still do. But one thing I'm learning is essentially like the season of no, or if it's not a hell yeah, it's a no. So there's a lot of things where I think that plays a little bit into the 50-50. It's like where I would feel maybe like 51%
Mm.
no and 50% or 49% yes. And I'd just be like, yeah, like, sure, I'll do it still, even though I know deep down I don't want to do it. And so being more confident comes with better decisions. I genuinely believe. I think you make better decisions. And it's not being selfish, but it's like, it's valuing your time, which is, your greatest resource. So mental
Mm.
models aside, is there, um, when you're like waking up in the morning, like do you have like a almost a filtration system for how you're gonna like go about your day? Like, are you a routine guy, or are you just kind of like, I'm gonna get up and work?
No, I'm definitely not the type of guy who's like, get up and work. I need some time in the morning. Like, I think routine helps me a lot. I think, and I'm not like very consistent with this, to be honest. Like,
Not rigid.
but I
Okay.
think getting up and it's hard, but like not looking at your phone first thing helps a lot. Um, what I've been trying is first thing I get up, I just have 10, 15 minutes to myself, just meditate, and then I would do some type of movement, whether that's like going for a walk, just doing some push-ups. I think that's like that sets the tone for the rest of your day quite well.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, what about you?
Um, dude, I'm all over the place. Like, I have a routine, like but I get to work, dude. As weird as that is, like, I have a girlfriend. My girlfriend Daisy. She helps out a lot. I'm not a morning person. Like, I've always been a night owl, so adapting to living with a girl who is a morning person it's been a huge change. I'm still adapting, but eventually it's like I'll wake up pretty early. I work pretty early in my day job, so I go and uh, I figure it out, like, but I do have certain like filters for, I have a mental model through the day. It's like, I want to get this done, right? I'm going to block out some time to get to work. But the concept of deep work changed how I approached a lot of the morning time routine. I used to, like, I've struggled with ADHD for a long time. My older brother, my little brother, like, we all have, we've all got it. So I deal with it really well. I don't take any like prescription medications. I try to exercise as much as I can, and I also like go on some amino acid supplements that help with focus. Learned a lot of that from Andrew Huberman. I love Huberman, by the way. That's like one of my biggest, like,
Mm,
he's like my
yeah.
North Star. It's like, okay, yeah, like that. It actually improved my life. But the focus work, like, dude, if I had something like, for instance, like, I'm gonna record a podcast for the day. If before I like kind of changed my mindset, a lot of it used to be because there's something I have to do at like 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. The rest of my day just goes out the window, right? And I'm just constantly in a anxious like waiting room, like, until I can go do that activity. But so changing how I like approach focus work, there's this model of a daily highlight. I'm trying to remember. Somebody popularized it in Modern Mastery. Have you heard of the daily highlight, where it's like no matter what, you get that one task done, and you can pretty much put like a gold star
Mm.
on your calendar, like you
Well,
were
I
productive.
know, like, yeah, I know this concept as like a non-negotiable.
Yeah, yeah. I call it a daily highlight
Yeah,
just because that's like how I was, approached with it. But
the daily highlight sounds so much more like it sounds better. It's like happier.
it's more
Non-negotiable. It's
reaffirming, dude.
like you gotta do
Non-negotiable is like discipline, like you, me, discipline. It's like
it.
we're gonna spar. With daily highlights, like, dude, you did something good. Like clap for yourself. And I believe in
Yeah.
Sahil Bloom. He's like the most positive guy on social media. I swear. Like the way he talks and his short form content, he's just like go go go. Like, do you know who Sahil Bloom is?
Uh, well, no, who's he?
He's like he's a writer, right? He's a writer, but he's recently got really big into like the short form content and podcast stuff. But I think a lot he's like close with Dakota Robertson and Dan Coe on like through Modern Mastery or some shit like that. But he has really positive like just messages across the board, and I feel like a lot of the business stuff and like me even in like the art world, like a lot of advice people give you is just like straight to the point, very like you're like it's your fault. But I find that you kind of have to sprinkle in some positivity, like some you have to reaffirm that, like, hey, like you actually celebrate your wins, you know, like especially the small ones.
Hmm.
But
No, I agree completely.
yeah, it's all over the place, you know. We have got like 5 minutes left. I mean, we've been chatting for quite some time. But yeah, what's
But
your
it's been good.
is your deadline
I
at
enjoy it.
like 30 minutes? I'm stating that was like your time block.
20,
20. Okay.
yeah,
So
25 minutes.
we'll just we'll go over it. What is your one childhood meal that you just profound? Like you think about it, you go over it, and it's genuinely something that your mother made back in the day, and you're just like, you know what? Like I'd eat that right now. You know, that sounds good any time of the day.
Funny thing is like the thing that I remember as like my favorite like meal as a kid, it doesn't really excite me anymore. It's like it's steamed fish,
Okay.
and I grew up in Asian household, and very common meal. I don't know the type of the fish. What's this called in English? It's hong zam yu in Cantonese. But yeah, it's just steamed fish. Like pretty like um yeah, dip it
It's a
in some
solid
soy
meal.
sauce
Oh
and
yeah.
rice.
What about like
Solid.
your what's your go-to food now as you're an adult?
As an adult, like I mean, I like to just keep things simple. To be honest, like I eat my first meal at 12, and then in between I'll eat like another like little snack, and then I'll eat at 6. And I just like this like I don't have to think about it. Um, I just eat like basic like simple things like eggs, scrambled eggs, salmon, beef. I use an air fryer, so it's like very easy. Makes it very easy.
Air fryer, dude, save your life, save you time. I love the air fryer, man. It's
Mhm.
great.
If you're a student, you have to have an air fryer, man.
Yeah, it sounds like it, man. Small, you know, you can kind of fit it anywhere, but no, that's awesome. Some fish, but Henry, once again, dude, it's been an honor to sit here and chat with you. Really glad we can get you on the podcast, schedule some time. I appreciate it. You know, it means a lot. It's helping me out, and it was a great conversation. The first time around, it was a little bit more organic, but no, dude, I'm
And
super
listen, man,
happy.
I really appreciate you getting me on here. It's my
Dude, of
first
course,
ever
man.
like podcast. I really appreciate it.
There's a first for everything, and so hopefully, we'll get people on your offer. We'll put you on Twitter, link everything. But yeah, I'm gonna throw up the thumbnail eventually, probably at the end of this video, like right here. Go follow Henry. He's fucking incredible, dude. He's got some great insights, and he's wise beyond his time. And if you want him to write for you, there's always that. So this has been the Way We Capture podcast, a photography podcast about self-improvement and the new upcoming trends in visual art and visual technology. So everyone, it's been an honor. Thanks for listening. If you drop a follow, subscribe to the newsletter, there's all sorts of shit that we can get you on. But yeah, take it easy, guys.
Peace out.